everyone, it's Kathy Zilski, and I am so happy to be here on the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel with a new video series that we're just going to call Easy with CZ. You get it right? Easy and CZ. That's me. Today, I am excited to share my very first slimline card. Have you slimlined yet? Because I hadn't. But today, we solved that problem. So let's take a look at the products I'm using for today's project. First up, the etched linear heart. This is a cool little heart die that cuts the heart shape and then etches out those lines on one side of the heart. I've got a rainbow of cardstock. It's all Simon Says Stamp except for the yellow. That is a Gina K color. I didn't have Simon Sunshine. And for my sentiment, I'm going to use one of these reverse strips. I have been loving these strips. Why? Well, you don't have to stamp. You cut them apart, they're good to go. For cardstock today, I've got some Neenah Solar White Classic Crest in the 110 pound. And how cute is this? A tall, skinny envelope that's going to hold my slimline card. So, first up, die cutting. I'll show you one, and I will cut the rest off camera, but what I'm going to do here is take the heart, push it into the corner, go ahead and cut this guy out. Just running it back and forth, and when it comes out, you'll see this cute little texture on one side of the heart. It's really fun. And now I'll do the rest of my rainbow of cardstock off camera so that I can get all my hearts ready for my card. So my piece of cardstock is cut to 7 inches by 8.5. That is going to be the open size, and I'm going to score it right here at 3.5. Now my score buddy doesn't go all the way down, so I'll score as far as I can, flip the cardstock, and then just continue scoring again at the 3.5 inch mark. And doing that a couple times will give me a perfect score line to fold on. So you don't need to have a large scoring tool to do this. Now I'm going to fold this down. Just like that. I now have a card. And I'll go ahead and give this a press, and I couldn't find my Teflon bone folder, and then I found my Teflon bone folder because I love that bone folder. But now you'll see I've got my slimline card. Yes, it is a side opening card. That's totally fine. I didn't want to do top folding because I think then you'd have to cut things apart. And my goal here, easy, right? Easy with CZ. Yeah, okay. But I'm going to tape my card base closed because this heavy cardstock does want to pop open, and I like my card bases to be flat while I am designing and figuring out where all of my elements are going to go. So now I'm just figuring out the placement, and what I wanted to do was just have this cascade right down the front of the card. And I'm using Gina K Designs Dot Runner. I really like this dot runner because it gives you a little bit of playtime before it becomes permanent. And that came in handy because what happened with my first pass here, I just scrunched it all up too close to the top. And that's not what I wanted. See that? I didn't want that open space at the bottom, so I gently lifted off the hearts and started again. And that's what's nice about this dot runner is you can do this until it is completely adhered cardstock to cardstock. So I was still a little too high up, so what I did, I picked up the whole thing. Look at that. One big chunk of hearts and repositioned it. That's exactly where I wanted it. And I'll just press that down. I didn't want it to be completely flat either because I like the texture that those hearts provide. Next, for the sentiment, I couldn't decide which one. Did I want you the best or did I want love you? But these sentiment label dies from Simon Says Stamp are great for cutting out these sentiments. You just line them up, run them through your die cut machine, and your other sentiments are going to be fine. Now I thought this full bleed edge to edge you the best would be cool, but then as soon as I put love you down, that just looks better to my eye. I think there's more balance, right? It just sort of feels more like a unified piece. So I grabbed a Copic marker, this is T10, because these sentiments have a white core. They're printed on white cardstock, and this is just a little thing that you don't have to do, but I always do. I like to color the edges just so they give that appearance of being on solid black cardstock. I'm taking some foam squares. These are just the regular depth, not the thin ones that I use a lot, but I like these because they have a little more depth. And I'm going to pop this up right down at the bottom of the lavender heart. I'll set that lightly, bring in my clear T-square just to make sure it's straight. I think sometimes with a really simple card, when things are straight, it will add to the overall look of the finished project. And that's it. I didn't want to do anything else. No bling, no nothing. I think it's really cute. It's very simple, but it's got a little bit of texture, and I think that will be fun when the recipient takes it out and sees all these hearts stacked together. But speaking of the recipient, I got this cool envelope, and I have this mail stamp set that I use all the time for my envelopes, but I rarely show how I decorate my envelopes, and I thought it would be so cool to do that. So I've positioned the envelope in my Misty stamp tool, and this is the new Misty. I gotta admit, I'm kind of loving it. And I'll go ahead and use Embossing Magic. I'm going to use some clear ink for embossing from Simon Says Stamp. And the cool thing about the Misty in general, not just the new one, but all of them, you can hang your paper outside of the Misty when you're stamping, and it's not going to crease your paper. Your paper is going to be fine because you can see that envelope kind of hanging out there. Now I'm pressing down. I didn't get a great impression though, and you'll see what happens, but I'm going to go with it. I'm sprinkling on my white powder, and I'll tap that off, and that's when I realized, oh, I kind of missed part of that arrow. I didn't really press all that well. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and heat emboss this. I'll get my heat tool nice and hot, bring it to the paper. And recently on YouTube, I had shared a video, and many folks gave me this great tip, which I never knew. A Gelly Roll pen in white, you can fill in some of the areas that don't stamp. I never knew this. This is life-changing for me because, this happens more than I care to admit. But now I can add my address and my return label, and we are good to go with my first slimline card. So if you haven't tried this technique, it is fun. It's a whole different design sense, right? Tall and skinny, or you can turn it on its side as well. But I hope this inspires you to make a slimline card, and if you do, by all means, keep it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone, and be sure to subscribe to the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel.